But as talented as all those people are, they are not the musical spotlight. Nope, folks. There's been a lot of talk recently about the origins of country music. Since Beyonce reached #1 with her new country single, Texas Hold'em, featuring this woman that we are spotlighting on this week's episode. The black influence on country music starts with the banjo. The banjo is a West African instrument. How many of you knew that? Well, it is. It was brought to America by slaves and became a part of slave culture and slave music in the South. Eventually, the instrument was standardized and appropriated by white folks through minstrel and blackface shows, which deeply influenced what we call hillbilly music, which would eventually be rebranded as country music. Yes. So many of the songs that early hillbilly artists were playing were black songs, like slave spirituals, field songs, religious hymnals, and the works of black singers-songwriters. A song like When the World is on Fire, which is a hymn arranged by a black minister, was eventually sung by the Carter family, which was the first family of country. They made their hit Little Darling Pal of Mine, which was based on that. And then eventually it was turned into This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie, which is one of the most famous country songs of all time. Now, in the 20s and 30s, black and white musicians frequently collaborated musically, like the father of country music, Jimmy Rogers, collaborating with the father of jazz music, Louis Armstrong, on 1929's Blue Yodel No. 9. But, as these things tend to do, hillbilly music became a product thanks to record labels wanting to label music and wanting to find a way to market it. And they started calling it hillbilly music. And they separated the hillbilly music from what was called race music, which was the black music. Many of the black performers on hillbilly records were uncredited because they didn't want people to know that there were black people playing on these hillbilly records. And they didn't even, a lot of times they didn't even show them on the pictures of the record. They would have white stand-ins take their place on the records. The genre was quickly positioned as roots music from Appalachia, and the black people who were the innovators of country music were written out of history. This woman, our musical spotlight this week, would love to change that. She was born and grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina, and nearby rural Gibsonville, North Carolina. She is a 1995 alumna of North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics and a 2000 graduate of Oberlin Conservatory at Oberlin College, where she studied opera. So this is a heavy sister. In 2005, she attended the Black Banjo Then and Now gathering in Boone, North Carolina, and there she met her future bandmates Don Fleming and Sule Greg Wilson. The three started playing together professionally as a postmodern string band called Sankofa Strings. During that same period, she was a regular caller at contra dances and featured in a Celtic music band called Gale Wind. Later in 2005, after both Gale Wind and Sankofa Strings both released albums, she and Fleming teamed up with other musicians and became the Carolina Chocolate Drops. In February of 2015, she released her debut solo album, Tomorrow Is My Turn, on Non Such Records. And this album includes songs made famous by Patsy Cline, Odetta, Dolly Parton, and Nina Simone. We just talked about Nina Simone. She also appeared on John Lindsay's single, The Ballad of Lennon Lacey, which tackled the mysterious hanging death of Lennon Lacey, a black teenager from rural North Carolina. In 2016, this woman became the first American to be honored as Folk Singer of the Year at BBC Radio 2 Folk Awards. She also received the prestigious Steve Martin Prize for Excellency in Banjo and Bluegrass. In winning this award, she has become the only woman and the only black person to ever receive this prize. In 2016, it has been announced that she and the Carolina Chocolate Drops would be inducted into the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. And in 2017, she was named one of the 2017 class of MacArthur Genius Fellows. Wow, that's heavy. She also played Hallie Jordan on CMT's Nashville, which was a really good TV show. If you ever watched Nashville, I always called it White Empire because it was like the white version of Empire. But it was a really good TV show, Nashville was. I loved it. And actually, she appeared in 11 episodes and performed several songs that were part of the soundtrack. This woman has won two Grammys, and has been nominated for 10. She's also won a Pulitzer Prize. Of course, I am talking about the lovely and talented Miss Rhiannon Giddens. This song is actually influenced by African folklore. It is called We Could Fly. We'll be right back after these.
Mama, dear mama, look in yonder tree. See that pretty little sparrow looking back at me. She can soar above the clouds, way up in the sky. She can fly away from here. Why can't I? Daughter, dear daughter, I'll tell you something true. Remember Granny Liza? Well, every night she flew. They tried to keep her down, but there was nothing they could do. She could fly, she could fly. She could slip the bonds of earth and rise so high. She could fly across the river, the spirit in her hand, searching, always searching for the promised land. Mama, dear mama, mama, tell me more. I feel a trembling in my arms I never felt before. Daughter, dear daughter, listen what I say. Your granny always told me you'd feel that way someday. Every time she looked at you, she saw the old time ways. When we could fly, we could fly. We could slip the bonds of earth and rise so high. We could fly across the mountains together, hand in hand, searching, always searching for the promised land. feel a lightness in my feet, a longing to be free. My heart it is shaking with an old song. I hear the voices saying it's time for moving on. She took her mama by the hand, they rose up in the air. They held each other tight and then they flew away from there. They held each other tight and then they flew away from there. They could fly, they could fly. They could slip the bonds of earth and rise so high. They could fly across the ocean together hand in hand. Searching, always searching for the promised land.